Hey.
Time, good defense by Sonogo.
Make it 12.
Buzelis caught a body underneath. Matas.
Alright y'all, so over the past couple of days, I have been becoming increasingly Matas Buzelis pilled. I am slowly falling in love with him as a player. Also, real quick, shout out to the ref in that opening clip who just straight up smacked him on the ass after that huge dunk. I just found that really funny. Anyway, for those of you who have been followers of this channel for a while, you've probably heard this spiel before, but I'm not a huge draft guy. I mostly just stick to NBA games and NBA stuff and NBA tape and all of those sorts of things. And the only things I really know about upcoming, draft prospects and players is stuff I see on Twitter. For the most part, all I really knew about Buzelis before researching for this video was that he went to the G League Ignite team, had kind of a subpar season. Then during the draft process, he started a very one-sided beef with the eventual #1 pick, Zachary Versace, so interesting to say the least. And for the most part, just based off everything I had seen, I was expecting to see a not so great player when I watched these Summer League games, and it was kind of the opposite. I actually really enjoyed watching Matas Buzelis. So statistically, across the 5 Summer League games that Buzelis played, he averaged 16.5 points, 4 rebounds, almost an assist, to go with 2 steals and 2 blocks. Those 2 blocks per game tied him for 8th in the entire Summer League, which is notable. Overall, he also just shot the ball very inefficiently. He was at 33% on over 16 attempts per game, was at 21% from 3 on over 5 attempts per game, and was hitting 74% of his free throws on over 5 attempts per game. But I'm not going to get too hung up on the percentages. It's Summer League. He's out there to get shots up and to become NBA ready, so not the end of the world. Now, statistics aside, what did I see from Buzelis across the games I watched? Overall, he's a very raw player. Obviously he is a rookie that was just drafted into the league. Like most of his counterparts in this rookie class, he's not extremely NBA ready. It's gonna be a couple of years before he eventually becomes the player that people want him to become. The obvious things that stand out in this field are, 1, his strength. Again, like most rookies, he's just not exactly built for the NBA just yet. He is extremely weak. And it was very noticeable on a few plays. Specifically, there was this one play where he tried to back down a player, and he just went nowhere. So I can only imagine what that's going to be like when he's against actual NBA talent. The shooting is also going to have to improve for sure. Again, he did not shoot the ball that well for his one season at G League Ignite. It was much of the same across the Summer League. And I'm not too worried because the jumper does look pretty smooth. He did knock down some shots, even had a few tough shots where he was at least shooting the ball confidently, which in my mind says that he will eventually become, at least like a league average shooter or someone that I think will be decent enough down the line that it's not going to be a huge issue, but obviously for now it's something to watch. And another thing is, I know a lot of people have been praising his handle for the fact that he is, such a tall guy, 6'9", 6'10", and he's able to handle the ball pretty well, but at the same time, he still has a tendency to over-dribble and, just force a lot of turnovers that could have easily been avoided. Again, likely something that is just going to get ironed out as he gets more playing time in the NBA, but we're here to talk about positives and negatives. Speaking of positives, let's dive into those. Easily the most fun thing about watching Matas Buzelis in these games was his eagerness to get out into transition and just make plays and score easy buckets, whether it be dunks or layups, catching lobs. It was all very exciting stuff. He's just such an explosive athlete that he is able to take off from pretty much anywhere. I imagine a lot of you probably saw the clip of him catching the lob that wasn't even supposed to be a lob pass and still dunking it pretty effortlessly, which I think that, pretty much tells you all you need to know. But what I'm hoping we get to see more of from Buzelis as he continues to grow is him just, either catching rebounds or getting steals or just getting the ball on the defensive side and immediately pushing it up the court in transition. Because again, he loves to get out and run. He has the ability to handle the ball and make passes, and I think he should just continue to play to his strengths, getting out in the fast break. I love it when he takes off and goes, because usually good things happen. And even when he is not in a transition opportunity, his main goal on the offensive side of the ball is usually to get to the rim, because again, that is where he's at his best right now. And despite the fact that he is a very athletic player, I also love the fact that he is very patient when he is driving the ball in the half court. He takes his time. He very rarely was, rushing to the rim. He would back down opponents. He would try to find the right angles. Again, his handles are very good for his size. They're not perfect, but he has a really good set of moves with the hezi and crossover, and he's just really good at changing his speeds, and that allows him to get to the rim pretty easily. The actual finishing at the rim still needs a little bit of work, especially once he's going to be going up against NBA level defenders and rim protectors, but again, that's one of those things that will most likely come as he continues to grow as an NBA player. But again, going back to that patience real quick, part of that also leads to him drawing a lot of fouls, which is something that excites me because I love it when players are able to knowingly get to the free throw line. It's the easiest way to score points. He seems to have that IQ on the offensive side of the ball to say, I might not be able to score the ball, but if I can get the defense off balance and get them to foul me, that's a win too, and I love that from him. And perhaps my favorite thing overall is that he actually has a really good floater. Again, for someone that is so athletic and just seems to love dunking on opposing players, he is also just really good at stopping on a dime and putting up a floater, and he hit a bunch in the games I watched, and I hope it's something that he continues to improve on because it'd be a really good shot to have in his arsenal. And rounding out the half-court offensive stuff, there weren't a lot of flashes of him passing the ball, but there were a few, enough that I am excited to see where he goes with it, because again, he has the handles, he's good enough with the ball in his hands that he could definitely be able to run pick and rolls at some point in his career. Had one specific pass in the games I watched where he hit his roll man with a really nice dime. Again, he's just really good at using his height to fire off passes. He can see above the defense. He can create passing lanes for himself. Last thing I'll say about the offense is that he spent a lot of his time on offense in these games, sitting in corners, sitting on wings, and I imagine that'll be more of the same for him during his rookie season for the Chicago Bulls. But he also showed a willingness to cut to the rim from the baseline, either off a miss or off a rebound, and again, he loves getting to the rim. That's his strength. That's his specialty right now. He's good at it. And I'll wrap up this video talking about the defensive side of the ball now. It was interesting because a lot of the scouting reports and stuff I saw about Buzelis said that he was not that great on defense and that he still needs a lot of work. Whereas, in my opinion, from what I saw, I thought he was pretty excellent. And I know it's summer league and it's going to be a whole different beast once it comes to real NBA talent, but he looked pretty dominant on that end of the court. He's definitely not the quickest on his feet when it comes to defending the perimeter, which isn't something that I would expect from him being a forward, but I did see enough that he has the length. He definitely could be a good POA defender at some point in his career, and the main reason I say that is because he has a really good defensive IQ. At least it's something that stood out for now. And the fact that he has the long arms, he loves to poke his hands in and try to get steals. He got a good amount of them during the summer league. He also showed the ability to defend drives to the rim very well. Again, the long arms just make it difficult for opposing players to get clean shots off on him. And again, for now, I definitely see him more as a off-ball kind of play the passing lanes, weak side rim protector type of player, but could definitely see some POA playing on the perimeter, maybe guarding smaller guards and being able to guard bigger forwards down the line at some point in his career. Because that was one last thing that stood out to me across the games I watched. He was always willing to take the hardest matchup on the defensive side of the court. When they played the Warriors, he guarded Brandon Pajimski down the line and did a pretty solid job there. When they played the Pistons, he was guarding Ron Holland for most of the game, took some possessions against Marcus Sasser once he got going. And then in the last game against the Lakers, I don't know who it was, but Blake Hinson was absolutely cooking them, and he eventually was placed on him at the end of the game, and again, locked him up pretty well. So all in all, just to reiterate everything, Matas Buzelis, I've become a huge fan. He is still extremely raw. You know, he's not even seen NBA action yet, at least real NBA action. It will probably be at least a couple of years before we see the version of him that everyone seems to be really excited for now. But at least in this point, you know, post Summer League action, I have to say I'm pretty shocked that he fell all the way to the 11th pick, because even though he is, you know, likely not going to be a star player or anything crazy down the line, I do think he has a pretty high floor, which in this year's draft seems like it's something that people should have been aiming for. And at the very least, he's a competitive guy. He seems to really love the game of basketball, and he is driven on the basketball court at all times. Add that to the fact that he is just, you know, 6'9", 6'10", with a great wingspan, good handles, and just an overall great feel for the game. It seems like the Chicago Bulls might have actually made a really good pick. That's enough from me for now. As always, if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those good things, and I'll catch you all in the next one.